What's up, everybody? It's the Magic Perspective with Alex and Eric. I'm your man, Eric Wilson. As I start my shows, we need justice for Breonna Taylor. We need justice for Elijah McClain. We need justice for Vanessa Gillian. Well, something very interesting happened today in the world of the NBA. And of course, you know, I had to bring my man, Mr. Alex Fleming, on in here because of this. So let me go ahead and just get him in here. Alex, good evening, sir.
It is a good evening. It's a historic evening.
Yeah. So, Game 5 was supposed to happen today between the Orlando Magic and the Milwaukee Bucks. But unfortunately, the Milwaukee Bucks boycotted this game. And then in same suit, the Orlando Magic decided that, well, we're walking off the court just like our fellow colleagues from the other team. So, you know, Alex, you at times like to incorporate the real world with the entertainment world. And I'm definitely going to call on you for this one because you and I have talked all day today. And let me just say first and foremost, thank you for being that ear that I needed. You allowed me to vent. You allowed me to get my thoughts out. A big shout out to Jarrell's Journal. We were both just on his show not that long ago discussing what's going on in this country. But before we get to that, I guess we should dive into, even though the game didn't happen, what we think the outcome is going to be moving forward. So my first question, my brother, that I have to ask you is simply this. Is the NBA season over?
No.
Okay.
Postponed.
All right.
You know, I think a lot of people were tone deaf. They were just happy to see brothers run up and down the court for their entertainment. I think a lot of people were like, ooh, we got sports back. We got a distraction from George Floyd and all of this social injustice garbage. They didn't even care about the Black Lives Matter shirts or the fact that the Black Lives Matter was on the NBA court or the fact that all of these players went to the bubble to try to send a message because of COVID. Fact number one, for 346. So COVID's not an issue. Fact number two, these overpaid athletes that you complain about having a voice are citizens and civilians of this country, just like you. Fact number three, if they didn't have your attention before, I'm almost guaranteed with all the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter hate comments, they damn sure got your attention now.
Especially the
you
one
weren't listening before because you didn't care before. This whole George Floyd thing, you just wanted it to go away because there was no way you could justify it. Even though if he had fentanyl or methadone or whatever it might have been in the system, the fact that an officer took it upon himself to put his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, you can't justify it. That's why you wanted to go away. And then with little Cannon, the little 5-year-old who was shot, you try to use that to upbridge the agenda. Then lo and behold, a gentleman who doesn't have a good past, his past was used against him to try to justify this attempted murder. Wrong. False. If Dylan Roof can get Burger King before his ass goes to jail, or better yet, if George Zimmerman can get a fair trial in Sanford for not being a police officer, but killing a 17-year-old boy who was given the business, well, guess what? Maybe we need to interrupt the entertainment cycle. I'm looking on Facebook now, and my poor dog Jerry Daniels is so upset that the NBA might get set back 20 years for actually standing up and doing something. Jerry, sit down and shut up. Sometimes social justice is a little bit more important than your entertainment needs, no matter if you spend $16,000 a year on tickets.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I personally am like, to me, this has gone on way too long. And it's something that, you know, I'm just sick of hearing about. And I actually thought that we were actually making progress. And I still believe that time will come when we will. But so I just want to post this really quick. Our boy Jake, who you know joins us, he joined you on Monday nights. He made a very lengthy statement. And so I want this to be shown for all of our fans. So here, give me a minute to those listening and watching us here. I'm not sure if this is going to go through, but we're going to give it a shot. So this is actually from, no, it's not. Okay, so here it is. This is from Jake. This is part of it. Here it is. What we saw in the NBA today is another beginning of the dominoes falling across sports. Once LeBron spoke, which I was just wow, the rest of the games were canceled. WNBA spoke up by taking a knee in solidarity in the middle of the court. Major League Baseball had 4 games postponed by their players. MLS also stood together as 5 games were canceled tonight. The more we see of this demonstration, the more league owners, sponsors will follow. He stands by this boycott and hopes, just by talking about it, leads to more action, as we saw today, Wednesday, August 22nd, 2020. So, very passionate words from our man Jake, and we definitely know where that brother's coming from with regards to what he feels about things. And he always is quick to call either you or I or some of his other military brothers just to get some type of understanding, some type of explanation. And I always say we need more Jake Ronholtz in this world, believe me. But
Yes,
I
we do.
want to I want to touch on Coach James Wade, head coach, general manager, WNBA Chicago Sky. And I spoke to him today, and I asked him. I said, Coach, I said, I got to ask you. I said, with the NBA canceling games, postponing, games, has the WNBA, has the league said anything to you about what's going to happen? This was all fresh and new to him. And this was today, Wednesday. Jacob Blake was shot and killed 4 days ago. So, there was a bit of a slow trickle effect to get to him, but I could just tell in talking to him, that man was in no mood to discuss basketball. But he understands he has a job to do. And I said it to him. I'm like, Coach, I totally feel you, and I have a job to do myself. But I told him before I hung up, before the conversation ended, I said, we need more James Waves in our life. And what I mean by that is this, something that I have continually preached and said. We need more minority leaders in positions of power. If you want to evoke true, realistic, substantial, solid change, that is what we need to happen. Until that does, I guess I'm just going to be another old man sitting on the porch wishing for days of yesteryear.
I have a treat for you, sir.
Okay.
I want to share this as much as possible. This isn't going to make people happy. You've met Mark King. I know Mark King. He's good in the hood and he's good in the community. He's done work all across Florida. Mark King, who is white, has got soul. And he's worked in multiple communities when it comes to basketball. Basketball's in his life. This is what he posted on Facebook. Get ready for the haters, bro. And I'm quoting him. I'm putting every white person on notice. If you value our friendship and try justifying, sidestepping, dehumanizing, trying to use bad stats or whack facts to do anything less than show appropriate compassion to another minority treated severely unjustly by a police officer right now, we're going to have big problems. And if you know anything about me, I don't quit. So be prepared to either unfriend me or endure the longest logical position changing lecture you've ever had in your life. And if you're a Christian and show anything less than the appropriate compassion for another minority being unjustly treated by a police officer, this is why Mahatma Gandhi say, I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ.
Damn. Let him know next cookout, he ain't got to bring
He's invited.
nothing. He invited. Wow. But that's what I mean. It's like we are at the point right now where things are happening, and we have such just social media and the media and everything is just being put out there that the change that we're looking for, as we try and be that change, we're continually not getting the respect, the human decency to simply live our lives.
Bro, they don't see us as equals. They see us as lessers. The 50s and 60s, I would have been shot. because I'm not going to have some little white kids spitting at me and not wanting to go to school with them. I'm not going to apologize for the way I talk, and I'm damn sure not going to apologize for the way I think. And I'm not going to be censored because some people don't like my standpoint. Well, guess what? Walk a mile in my shoes, you might just hurt your feet. We're being hunted. As a matter of fact, animals who are being hunted are better and more respected than black men in America when it comes to police officers. This is disgusting and it's past old. And I invite any smoke from anyone who thinks differently. The list of names is too long. And the fact that your entertainment's being interrupted because of an issue that actually matters to a good 13% of the American population is disgusting. There's no reason to justify what happened to Floyd. There's no reason to justify what happened to Taylor. There's damn sure no reason to justify what happened to Arbery. There's no reason to justify what happened to Elijah. And there's for damn sure very little reason to justify what happened to Mr. Blake on Sunday. Does he have a criminal past? Yes. Might he been resisting arrest? Yes. I didn't see a weapon, number one. The initial call was not for him. Number two, he was walking away after 5 police officers were beating him up. Number three, and you shot him in front of his witnesses, family, and neighborhood. Number four, an Army veteran of all people said that if he would have done this in combats of war, he would have been sent to Leavenworth. Why in the hell are police officers held to a different caliber than our Army and Marine veterans? Enjoy the night without basketball. Maybe you realize why there's not basketball, and you probably think, you know what? That guy might just actually be human.
Hey, with that, we got our man. Let me just bring him in real fast. Mike Caratanudo, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast as he drops every Friday. Make sure you check him out. Mike, good evening, man. Welcome to the Magic Perspective with Alex and Eric. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I was a wee bit late. We actually just finished recording the podcast in which Ahmad and I were talking about this. We had other things planned, but it shifted, rightfully so. And you bring up a great point, Alex, catching that tail end, because my grandpa, I think I told you, was in the Army for 20 years, World War II in Korea. And the checks on that and the checks and balances, as should be there in the military. I don't understand. I've never understood how, I mean, there's not a military union, and I'm not like, because this isn't funny. I laugh at the idea that there's not like a union in the military saying, no, you can't try us for this or that. But yet police officers that, again, the bad ones, and like Doc Rivers said last night, there's bad ones and there's good ones. The unfortunate is it's always guilt by association, as we all know. If I do something to screw it up, and you guys are with me, you guys are just pigeonholed because you're with me, when people don't want to take the time to understand that that's not you. But there needs to be accountability. And that's the sad part of there not being accountability with it, because for all the good cops that would never do that to a person or treat a person like that, there's the terrible ones that are a million miles an hour past that, Alex. And I'm with you, man. It's sad that it still has to come to this. And I mean, it's ridiculous. And the thing that gets me too is how disgusting this is. I'm sure you guys touched on it, and Ahmad and I touched on it, and people can hear it, but is a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. That's the light taken out of their eyes, man.
I haven't even got to that. And that is what's speaking to me more than anything is I could not tell you, as someone who lost his father at 17 years old, my dad's been gone from my life for 27 years, and not a day goes by that I don't miss that man. And I was very fortunate and blessed to have him. But, something as simple as driving around the city with him or going places with him, I don't know how these 3 young boys are going to be able. They lost their childhood. I'm not trying to be a cynic about this, but they did. to watch that experience, maybe the 3-year-old, because he's still so young,
Right.
but that 8-year-old,
That's yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
I want to hug that young boy, all 3 of them, and let them know that this is not how life is, but also be real enough with them to let them know that's how life is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I saw a tweet earlier, and I don't know if you guys did, but L. Duncan from ESPN saying it only happened one other time, a game back in 1961, gentlemen, and Bill Russell, your guy Eric, sat out with a handful of other Celtics in protest of racial injustice, and she put at the end the fact that we are still doing this 50 years later for the same thing should be incredibly telling. And it's just it's systematically there's so many things, but it just comes down to simplicity to me. If people would just stop bickering and pointing and blaming, and like you always said, Eric, have a plan, have an action, sit down like logical human beings in which we are, and get it hashed out. Look, things need to be talked about, things need to be addressed.
but people need to be held accountable, and
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Go ahead, Alex.
The Police Tribune has already confirmed that Jacob Blake was armed. They're going to fight tooth and nail to try to defend their actions on why he was assaulted and then shot 7 times in the back, because they know this is a powder keg ready to erupt. There was no weapons in the car. His children was in the car. On his right side, tucked nicely, is a less than 6-inch knife that can't be seen on video. So this tucked 6-inch knife was the reason why he was beat up by 5 cops and then shot 7 times in the back.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, they'll defend their own. They will damn sure defend their own. They look at our past and think of others' future. That's why Kyle Rittenhouse will probably get a GoFundMe from a whole bunch of hate groups. Yet people like us are guilty until proven innocent.
I mean, and then my thought process right there when you said that is, you know what? Then we need to start a GoFundMe for Jacob Blake and his family. You know, I mean, and I know that might not be the right way to think, but at the same time, this man is now paralyzed for life, which means, again, he will not be able to walk with his sons should they decide to play sports. Oh, he can be on the sideline, but he's just thankful to be able to be there. Here is my one question that I want to ask both you gentlemen. And I mean, I need some help, and particularly from you, Alex, because you're originally from that Midwest area. What is going on in Minnesota and Wisconsin that these types of heinous crimes are being perpetrated? And I'm not saying that it's only Minnesota and Wisconsin. Please believe me. We know that it expands the entire country. But
I can explain it. They feel emboldened. Okay, I'm not saying that ignorance didn't already exist. You and I both know it already existed. But whenever I was growing up in Chicago, it was more of a class system than a race system. Now, in good old 2016 to good old 2020, they feel emboldened to feel and act this way because they think, believe, and act that they're better. Philando Castile was a registered gun owner, registered, legal. Yet, for some odd reason, an officer felt the need to shoot him 3 times in front of his girlfriend and his seed, aka baby, for those who may not know what seed is. Did you hear from the NRA? Did you hear an outburst from the NRA? No, you heard nothing, because Philando Castile doesn't look like most of its NRA members, because the NRA is lobbyists. Number 2, Kenosha, Wisconsin. The gentleman has a record. I'm not going to try to defend the fact that he has a record. But guess what? Even guilty deserve their day in court. And cops are not judge, jury, and executioner. And if they really felt threatened, why are there 5 officers on the scene? There's no justification for police brutality. And the use of excessive force is going to have to be answered because, unfortunately, they weren't able to finish the job. It's disgusting, the behavior, and it's uncalled for. Yet people left and right will try to justify it.
Well, I mean, justification. Well, to the point of the NRA is it's ridiculous. The amount of influence they have, because we touched on this before. No matter if it's police officers are going to have guns, as we know. A bad example, I guess. But when it comes to school shootings, it's okay to shoot up a school with your kids in it, but it's never the time to talk about guns or anything. It's time to talk about prayers and this and that. So to your point on that too, Eric, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that the NRA has this much lobbying, which goes to the point again. If you want to start from the top, I'll keep this really short. The president has a term limit, right? The Supreme Court doesn't and shouldn't, because that could be a mess if the Supreme Court did, right? There should not be, and I've said this forever, ever, there should not be professional politicians who, when they make these laws, bills, whatever, it doesn't really affect them. Their healthcare is a different thing. It's all taken care of for them. So they really don't care about us people anyway. I mean, you can start there. If you can't get things done in, I mean, I think it's too long, like 12 years, that, like, you're out. Like, you don't get to run again. Like, people will come in and they'll keep your whatever going. There have been good people in there. I'm not going to, like you and Alex are saying, it's not bad in every single one of them. The people have done good things. But we don't need parties. We don't need professional politicians. I'm sorry. And anyone that argues saying this is why we need parties, no, we don't, because George Washington said it 230 years ago. And it's one of those things that's ridiculous to me, because he had the vision to know that it's about serving people. So what do we need to bicker? We need to be sitting down, adults protecting people and serving them. That's what it's about, not about a career of getting rich and doing nothing forever.
I get it, Mike. I get it, Mike. And this is why I continually say to you, and I continually say this, we need people from all walks of life sitting at the table that where there's going to be true, real change, you know? So look, guys, I appreciate y'all both being on here with me tonight. You know, it's just one of those things that we have to talk about because of how it affected the world of sports. I am very, very blessed that both the NBA, the WNBA, the MLS, MLB, NHL, they all showed unity in the decisions they made, not just today, but since sports has restarted. Alex, I'm going to give you the final word, and then we're going to go ahead and get out of here.
I want to quote Chris Fraley from Jerry Daniels' Facebook page. Now, this is how they think of us. This is how they see us. This is why I'm quoting Chris Fraley. Exactly correct. All sports for that matter. I'm done. Totally lost interest. Not calling them animals, but there's an appropriate phrase that says, never let the animals run the zoo. And that's what's happening. If 99.9% of us boycotted, protested, or walked out on our job for one day, we'd be fired and replaced. All fan bases are tired of all of them. Just play your damn sport and do your job. Pick another platform for your beliefs or agendas. Chris Fraley, you are the problem. I will make sure to tag you because you need to see the last minute of this show, because ignorance like that is the reason why we kneel and protest.
Your man Eric Wilson alongside Alex Fleming and my brother, Mr. Michael Caratanudo, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast. Gentlemen, thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. It has done me good. I will see you guys later. Everyone else, try and have a good night.